This is a Tai Chi video brought to you by the Middletown Senior Center. My name is Lisa Gibson, and I'm your instructor. Welcome. Before we begin, I just want to give you a little bit of the overview of the class today. What we'll be doing is we're going to start with what I call Tai Chi Warmups, and they're specifically done to sort of loosen our body, relax, open up the joints, the muscles, the tendons. And we go through these series of exercises. And then after that, we work a little bit on balance. Balance is very important in Tai Chi because we're usually shifting our weight from one leg to the other. But in addition to that, our balance, we start to lose it as we age. So we want to do whatever we can to maintain our balance as we continue on. Then we'll do some Qigong exercises. This is a series of movements that helps us with our flexibility, but also to generate or move what we call in the Chinese system, our Qi, which is our life force, our vital energy. Then we'll do a few movements, maybe one or two just from the Tai Chi form, and then we'll end by doing some seated meditation. So it's a good idea to have a chair available. If you don't have one, get one right now because we'll be using that for our balance and then for the meditation at the end. Additionally, as we do these different movements and exercises, they can be modified based on your own physical body, what you feel is appropriate for you. So for example, I might be doing some movements that have very wide range of motion. You can make them smaller. We can do adaptations, and I'll go over a couple of those with you. So do what's best for you and your body as we go through this. All right, let's begin. So to start, you're going to want to stand. Feet are about hip width or shoulder width apart. And we're just going to turn our waist from side to side. It's a gentle turning, just sort of awakening our body here. We just turn our waist, and you notice that your upper body, your shoulders, and your head just follows with that waist turning. So within this movement, there's not a lot of physical exertion. And we're only using the muscles that we need to use. So I'm just turning my waist. I'm not doing anything with my arms. They're just following as the waist turns. So Tai Chi and a lot of these movements, it's about efficiency too. We just use what we need to use. So we conserve our energy that way. So what I mean by this is as I'm moving, I'm not like picking my arm up and moving it. I'm just letting it go with my waist. And you can see as I turn my waist a little bit more forcefully, my arms start to swing out a little bit more, just on their own. I'm not really doing anything. So this initial movement helps in terms of just turning the waist, relaxing the shoulders, opening up the chest a little bit. So we just do this as we start out. This is good to do actually when you get up in the morning, and you can do it nice and slow to begin with. You can slow it down like this. And then as you start to feel more comfortable, a little bit more flexible, then you can add on a little bit more exertion with that waist turning. So it's just simple turning from side to side. So let's just do this. And as I'm doing this sort of basic warm-up, I'm also thinking about 1 inch taller, meaning I'm thinking I'm nice, my body, my spine is straight. I'm taller, my chest is open. The breathing is natural. In basically all of these movements, we're not holding our breath, we're just breathing. And right now with this, our weight is evenly distributed on both legs. And then to continue this movement, we're going to add on another piece. We're going to start to shift our weight from one leg to the other. So I'm going to move the camera down so you can see my feet. And here you won't need to see my upper body. So right now you can see my feet, and what we've been doing is just doing this. But now we want to have the weight go from one leg to the other. So what we do is we feel the weight sink down in one leg. Once it's there, we can pivot on the heel of the other foot. Then we turn and we pivot here. So let's just do this without our arms just yet. So feel the weight sink down and pivot on the heel of the other foot. And just go back and forth. So we're just getting the weight to go from one leg to the other. Now, as you do this, if you're having any trouble with this, it may be that your weight's not really in one leg or the other. Once it's in that leg, I can easily just turn and pivot like this, right? Now let's just start to add our arms. Now if you're doing this and you're on a carpet, it is a little bit sticky, I will say that. But again, so we're just turning, we've got our arms turning with our waist, and we're just pivoting on the heel of one foot and then the other. So this is a good basic exercise just to get the weight shifting from one leg to the other. You've got the waist turning, the upper body just follows, the arms follow up as the waist turns. You're relaxing your shoulders. Okay, good. So let's move on to the next exercise. In this one, we're just going to be swinging our arms, bringing them up. Palms are facing up. We turn the palms over and just let them drop. This one is also to help relax the shoulders. So I'm going to turn to the side. So bring the arms up about shoulder level, just letting them drop. Breathing is natural. And so as the arms come down, we let the momentum sort of bring them back up again. So again, not exerting a lot of energy here. They come up, they go down, and they just sort of naturally want to come up again. And as I'm standing here, my knees are slightly bent. It usually works out that as we bring our arms up, that's the inhale. Exhale, the arms drop down. Okay, good. Let's do some overhead stretching. So again, we're going to stand, feet shoulder width, hip width apart. We're going to interlace our fingers, and then we're just going to bring our arms up, let the palms turn out, and just stretch up. And just breathe. Really nice stretch here. And again, if you can get to this point, that's fine. Whatever you're comfortable doing, go with your range of motion. And now we're going to inhale, and then on the exhale, you're going to turn to the right. Inhale back to the center, and then turn to the other side. And we're just going to do this a couple of times. Inhale back to the center, exhale, and turn to the right. Back to the center, now turn to the left. Now come back to the center, and this time as we exhale, we're going to stretch over to the right. Back to the center, and now to the opposite side. So you're getting a nice stretch in the side. Good. Let's bring our arms down. Knees are bent. We're just going to fold over from the waist. Let our arms drop down. And just hang nice and loose. And then slowly you're going to start to come up. And as you come up, you're just going to be turning your waist from side to side. Remember, the knees are bent. You can also think of this as coming up one vertebrae at a time with that spine. Another way to look at this is as if your legs are a nice strong tree trunk. Your arms are the branches, and they're just swaying in the wind as you rise up. And your head is the last to come up. Good. So let's do some shoulder rolls. So we bring our shoulders up and then bring them back. Chest really opens here. Let the shoulders drop down and then forward. Up, back, down, and forward. And let's do this a couple times. You're making a circle. Don't hold your breath. Keep breathing. Okay, now let's bring our shoulders up. We're going to do the reverse. So this time they go forward, down, and back. Up, forward, down, and back. So do this at your own pace. Let's just do one more. One more here. Good. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of neck stretching. So we inhale, and then we turn our head to the right, gaze over the right shoulder. That's the exhale. Inhale back to the center, and let's go to the other side. And gaze over that shoulder. And let's just do this a few times from one side to the other. And now here, let your head drop down and make a slow, gentle half circle over to the other side. Raise the head up and then let it drop down and go back to the other side. And again, let's do this a few times. It's really nice and gentle as you do this. And one more. Okay, good. Let's make hip circles. Just walk with our hips a little bit. And it could be a big circle, it can be a small circle, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, let's go in the opposite direction. Okay, good. And then we're going to do a little bit of rotating our arms. And in a lot of the Tai Chi movements and Qigong movements, there's a lot of this rotation of the arms. generates what we call the spiraling energy. So we want to loosen up particularly our shoulders. That's where we store a lot of tension. So we do a lot of work in that area. So arms are out, palms are facing up. Now just turn your palms over. But you're going to continue that rotation. So it's as if my thumb is pointed down now and then a little bit further. So do what you can with this. So I really feel that in my shoulders as I'm rotating. Now let's bring our arms so that our palms are facing up. And let's continue that rotation a little bit. And let's just keep going back and forth. And none of these movements should be painful. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, then just modify it or don't even do it. Just here, keeping your arms outstretched. Okay, good. So we're going to do a little bit more with this rotation. So here, you can have your feet wider apart. And I'm going to be gazing at this right hand. And I've got more of the weight in my right leg. While that's happening, the other arm, I'm just sort of rotating it. Okay. Then we switch. Weight shifts into the other leg. I'm gazing at that hand. Meanwhile, this arm here is rotating. So just go back and forth a few times with this. Okay, and then just bring your arms down. And maybe just bring your shoulders up and down and just a couple little circles here. Good. We're going to move into a little bit of balance. So this is where you can use a chair. You can also use the wall. If you have the chair and you want to use that, you can bring it over. And then also, if you don't need to use the chair, that's fine too. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lower this screen so you can see my feet, because we're going to be working more with the foot with this type of balance. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by having the weight in one leg. And I'm going to raise the knee just up slightly here. It doesn't need to be really high. It's just going to be just enough where my foot's off the ground. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is hold that. If you can, you're using a chair, just bring your hand off the chair. It's always there to put it back on. So do what's right for you. And then what I'd like you to do is just flex the toes up and point them down and up. So you're holding your balance while you're doing a little bit of movement here. This is good for the foot too. And then start to make now a circle. So we're now making a circle with the ankle. So it's as if I'm trying to draw with my foot. Draw a circle here. And then reverse the circle. So that adds on a whole other element. And again, you have the chair or the wall for your support. Okay, good. Now before we go to the other leg, just kind of shake out a little bit. Good. And now we're going to do the opposite one. So same thing here. I want you to feel the weight sink down in one of the legs first. I've actually got my heel raised a little bit to make sure it's all in this leg. And when I feel steady, then I raise this knee. Just enough so I can bring my foot up and then start to flex the toes up. You get a nice stretch there and down. Now, one of the things about these stretches is there's no need to rush through them. So you don't want to be going up and down like this. Just nice and slow. This really works on your balance when you're doing it that way. Up and then down. And then start to make the circle with your ankle. and reverse that circle. Good. And then shake out your knees a little bit. Okay, the next balance we're going to do is I will demonstrate it first. So I'm going to change this just a little bit, okay? This one is a little bit more challenging because we're going to be bringing the knee up a little bit higher. So you can see here, bring it up to about that level. But you can also bring it up whatever works for you. So it can even be down here. Now, if you can, what I'd like you to do is place one hand and hold the knee up. Right now I've got my hand on the chair. So you can either keep it on the chair or if it's on the wall. And then if you can raise this hand. It sort of is a counterbalance here, right? And then slowly let that down, okay? We're gonna move into the other leg. So now, and you may need to move the chair to the other side or to go to the other wall, but here we're bringing the other knee up and holding it with the hand, and the arm goes out. So I'm actually using this arm that's out as sort of counterbalancing and helping me to hold this. Okay, good. All right. Finally, the last balance that we're going to be doing, and again, I'm going to be back a little bit more. You don't need to see my face for this, but I just want to show you, particularly with my feet. We're going to be walking, and I'm going to have my hands on my hips right now, and then I'll show you the arms. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is placing one foot in front of the other and walking like a straight line. So this is another way to do a balance exercise. So I'd be lifting one foot and putting the heel in front of the other foot so it's touching the toe and walking that way, right? What I'm going to add to this is while I'm walking, and you can do this do this as well, my hands are sort of in a prayer position, and you can see with this prayer position, I'm pressing my palms against each other and the elbows are out. That actually helps with the balance, and you can try that. If it doesn't, you can just have your arms down or on your sides. The key is we're going to start to walk. So I'm using my hands here. I'm in that prayer position. I'm going to take one of the legs, one of the feet, and this is balance right here. And then I'm moving it so that my heel is touching the toe of the foot. And then we just walk. So there's a little bit of wobbling that goes on when you're doing this. Okay. And wherever your room allows you to go, then you can stop. And now we're going to do it in reverse. So now I'm bringing that front leg so that it's going back so that the toe is pressing the heel of the other leg. So again, it's that straight line. You can see it here pretty clearly. I'm stepping back. So you really have to feel that balance in the leg, in this case in the back leg, before you lift this front leg to bring it back. Yep, even there I went off a little bit, so, okay. Now one of the things with this balance to remember is that it's a very good one, I'll say that much, it's challenging, but when people first do this, a lot of times they're looking down at their feet. They're like this, looking down. Once you get comfortable, the ideal is to just be with your back straight. So you keep your posture and you just look ahead. You don't look down, okay? That's what you're aiming for in this one. Same thing with the stepping back. Okay, good. All right, so now that we've done some of this balance work, we want to just kind of shake out our legs a little bit. We're going to want to little self-massage here. You take your hands, put them over your thighs, the inner, the outer, and then up and down the legs. Inner legs, outer legs. Okay, and then take your hands, take the sides of your hands and sort of slice up into the thighs. Just getting our blood flowing here, relaxing the muscles a little bit. Okay, good. Then move into slaps. Up and down the legs. Hips. Good. And then make soft fists and just sort of punch lightly from one thigh to the other. Okay, good. All right. And now what we're going to do is we are going to just end these sort of warm-ups and balance. My knees are slightly bent. We're going to bring our arms up. We get a little balance here, raise those heels, and then just let the arms come down and slap down. Okay, let's do that 2 more times. Come up. Inhale, exhale down. 1 more time. Down. And then we're going to make 3 movements where we bring our arms up. This is sort of a recharging movement, but it's also called washing organs, where we bring energy down, we let our weight sink down. Let's do that again. This is the inhale. Inhale, rise up, feet are flat on the ground. And exhale, let that energy drop down. Knees are bending here, weight is sinking down. 1 more time. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. So we're going to move on and do a few movements of the 8 brocades. So the 8 brocades is one of the earliest Qigong series originating in China. And basically there's 8 different movements, and they were designed to strengthen our internal organs and also improve our health by regulating and influencing specific body functions. So each one does something a little bit differently, but overall it's to sort of work with and regulate and circulate our qi, which is again considered our vital energy, our life force. Okay? So the first one is 2 hands press the heavens, or 2 hands hold up the sky. I'm going to demonstrate this, and then we will do it together. So we start, and most of the times we're standing about shoulder width apart. Knees are slightly bent, hip joints, knees relaxed, shoulders dropped. Here we're going to interlace the fingers. So this first one, we're going to, on the inhale, be rising up. The feet are flat on the ground. And then turning our palms out and stretching up, kind of like our initial warm-up exercise. But then we're gazing at the hands here, and then we gaze forward as our arms continue back closer to the ears. And then on the exhale, the arms drop down. Weight is sinking down here. This first one is really good for what they consider, now you can do this with me, for opening up in the Chinese system what they call the triple burner. So the triple burner consists of, the upper one is the heart and the lungs, the middle is the stomach and the spleen, lower is the intestines and the kidneys. So with working with the qi circulating in those areas, we're essentially helping with our breathing, our respiration, with our digestion and our elimination. This movement's also really good for relaxing and working with the shoulders, Opening up the chest. So a couple things with this. When we inhale, our body's rising up a little bit. Now, if you find that you need to exhale and take another inhale, that's fine, okay? Same thing as you come down with this exhale. If you run out of breath, just breathe in again. So no holding the breath here. Weight is sinking down. I'm going to turn to my side. Okay. Fingers are interlacing at the area of your lower abdomen, lower dantian. Palms are facing here, then at chest they turn out. Gaze at them, then gaze forward. And as the arms slowly come down and we exhale, they're relaxed but not limp. So I'm not just like letting them drop. They come down nice, gentle. It's as if my arms are coming through water. So there's a slight resistance there. Let's do 2 more. Good. So that's the first one. And then before we move on to the second, we sort of do the recharge where we bring our arms down, rotate them out. Inhale, rise up, and exhale, draw that energy down. Okay. Now, the second of the 8 brocades is called Draw the Bow and Let the Arrow Fly. And a lot of these movements, they kind of are doing what they sound like they're doing. So I'm going to just demonstrate this first. So in this movement, my feet here are wider apart. And what we call, so they're wider apart and sort of what's known as the horse stance. My weight sort of sinks down. So I just want to show you this a little bit in terms of the weight sinking down, what I mean. So here, my weight just sort of drops down and my knees bend in this. Okay, so my back remains straight. So when I'm letting my weight sink down, I'm not leaning forward, I'm not leaning back. It's just, I sort of just drop down, okay? And how far you drop down is based on your body and what you're comfortable with. One thing you don't want to have is your knees extending over your toes. So you want to keep your alignment. So in this movement, my weight has sunk down at this point. And then essentially what I'm doing is, it's as if I am drawing a bow back here, and my other arm is extended out. I'm just going to demonstrate this a couple of times and then we'll do it together. We go from one side to the other. So notice when my weight sinks down and I may be gazing out at one arm, I'm not like this. So I'm not putting more weight in one leg. It's just, I just drop down straight. So I've got even weight on both legs. That's really important. A lot of times when people are learning, they start to lean over. We want to keep the back straight. The other point I want to mention is, so the hand that's out is sort of like an L shape with the index finger and the thumb, okay? So let's do this together. My arms are lightly touching. I've got sort of just soft this here. They're not, they're not tight. I'm not clenched. I'm relaxed. And then we're sort of dropping down. In this case, I'm drawing the left hand back and gazing out at the right arm. Now we're going to inhale as we come up, and we're switching and we're doing it to the other side. So a couple things about this movement, let's keep going, is that certainly as you can feel this with your legs wider apart and your weight sinking down, this is really good for strengthening the legs. I mean, that's one of the things that's happening here as you're doing this. It's also good for the lower back, the abdominal area. But you're really, with this movement, opening up your chest and your lungs. Right here. This also helps with the elasticity in the neck and the shoulders. Strengthens the kidneys. And it's said to be good for the liver as well. You're also sort of working your eyes with this, because when I'm gazing out, it's as if there's a target out there and I'm gazing out beyond that hand, beyond the arm that's outstretched. So again here, make sure that you're not bending over like this, leaning forward like that. Just let the weight drop and sink. And you notice here as I'm drawing back, it's like I'm almost like scraping, and my hand is right across my chest. Okay? And we're just going to do a few more of this one. Okay, good. Let's do the recharge. Arms come down, raise them up. Inhale, here, when we up. Exhale, we'll bring them down. The third one that we're going to do is called separating heaven and earth. And let me demonstrate this first. I'm going to move this down again so you can see more of my, well, that's probably not the best way. I want you to see my hands going up and down. Okay, so here, we're going to start off, again, feet are, now we bring our feet shoulder width apart. The palms are facing up. And essentially what's happening here is one arm is going up, the other one is sort of going down and back. So in the posture here, I've got this arm, the palm is facing the ceiling here. So it's as if I've got an object that I'm pushing up. This hand here, it's as if I've got an object that I'm pushing down. So it's this opposing force. And then we would bring down one arm while the other one comes up to meet it. Where they're meeting, again, is this area, it's the lower abdominal area, also called the lower dantian. This is sort of our chi energy area here. storage area. And then we switch. So this becomes the inhale. When the arm comes down, it's the exhale. So as with a lot of these movements, my body sort of rises up. Now my feet are flat on the ground when they rise up here, and then I'm just sinking the weight down. At this point, the knees are bending. Okay? So let's do this together. So to start with, my knees are slightly bent here. Shoulders are relaxed, drop down, palms are facing up. And I'm going to be raising the right arm. So right arm starts to come up, and the other one is turning down. And remember, it's like you have this object here that you're pressing up. My gaze is forward, so I'm not gazing up at that hand. I'm trusting that I'm pushing this object up, and this one is down. Exhale, rotate the arm. Now inhale, let's do the other side. Now this arm rises up, pressing, pushing that object up. This one's pressing down. So a couple things to notice about this. Obviously, the arm that's going up has to travel a bit more. So the timing on this is there's more movement with that arm going up. And so even though I'm starting to turn this hand here, it's a lot slower as it rises up, so they meet at the same point. Notice when I bring this arm up, the palm is facing the chest at first, and then it rotates, the arm rotates so that it's facing the ceiling. It rotates as it comes down. And we're just switching. So this movement is said to be very good for the stomach and the spleen. What's happening here is this opposing motion. You're sort of stretching the abdominal cavity, sort of almost massaging it, which is said to work on those two organs specifically. So on the exhale, the weight is sinking down, my knees are bending. On the inhale, my body is lengthening, I'm straightening up a little bit. And as with all these movements, again, this is the inhale here. However, if you need to exhale and take another breath, that's fine. Same thing with the exhale. No holding your breath. And let's just do a few more. Good. And let's complete that in a bit. Inhale, draw your arms up. And exhale, bring your arms down. So that's 3 of the 8 brocades. That's all we're going to do for today in this class. So what I'd like to do next is we're going to move into a movement from the Tai Chi form. This is from the Chen style, and it's called cloud hands, or waving hands through the clouds. Now, for those of you who have done Tai Chi in the past, depending on which style of Tai Chi you've done, it may look a little bit different. The Chen style is a little bit different from the Yang style, or the Sun style, or the Wu style. So I'm just going to demonstrate at first, and we're going to be doing single cloud hands in this class. So this would be sort of the double cloud hands. And I'm doing stationary, so I'm not moving. And what I mean by stationary is that in the form, there's usually a movement that's associated with the legs, such as this. Okay, so that's double. We're going to start with single. So with this, to do the single, you can have your feet wider than shoulder width apart. And what we're going to do is we're going to have one arm is going to come up. In this case, my left hand has come up. And then we're going to, so we'll start from that position. And I've got a little bit more weight in this leg here, okay? We're going to rotate the arm. So remember we did those warm-ups with the rotation. Here's another place where we're rotating. Now we're going to put the weight into the other leg and turn the waist. And the arm comes to this side. The palm is going to face down. And then we drop the arm down. Weight's going into this leg here. Arm is rising up. So some key points in doing this. When the arm drops down, same thing here, it's as if it's gliding through water. So it's a controlled but very relaxed movement. And the weight is shifting into the opposite leg. So it's in this leg, about 60, 70%. Then the arm just comes up, palm is facing up. Now here, it's important that this only comes up to about chest level. And at the same time, I'm also sometimes thinking of dropping the shoulder. A lot of times when people first learn this movement, they start to raise the shoulder up, which creates a lot of tension. So it's dropped. Then at this point, it's just rotating the arm. Now, as my weight shifts into the opposite leg, I'm just turning my waist here. So what's happening is, all I'm doing is this. I'm not really moving my arm. So I'm not going like this, and then my waist is following. My arm is already in the position it needs to be. Palm is turned out. I'm just turning my waist. At the end, I extend it a little bit farther, then rotate the arm so the palm's facing down, and now I can let the arm drop down again. So let's do this together. The breathing is natural. Now I'm looking at you in the camera. When I'm doing this on my own, I'm sort of following the hand when it's up, when it's about chest level. What I don't do is follow the hand and start to bend over and look down. We want to keep our posture upright, keep our alignment. So the arm just comes down. My head is just turning with my waist. And when it's here, I'm sort of, I'm turning, my gaze is following the hand. So really feel that weight as it goes from one leg into the other. Let that waist turn, rotate. When the arm is at chest level, make sure your shoulders relaxed and dropped. Just breathe naturally. Okay, good. Let's switch now. So now we're going to bring the other arm up. Rotate. So we're doing the same movement. Only difference is we just switched arms. Weight shifts from one leg to the other. The waist is turning. Arm is coming down. The weight's in the other leg. Arm comes up, palm faces up. And then the rotation here. Then put the weight into the other leg, turn the waist, extend out. Breathe naturally. And one thing as you do these movements, I think it's really important in terms of your relaxation, learning something new in many cases. Just smile. Have fun with this movement. It's a nice gentle movement. If your arm gets tired, just stop. But generally what I find is if you're really just allowing the waist to turn, the arm doesn't get tired here because it's just in the position. It's just in that position already. And then it's just the extension at the end. Good. So that's the introduction to cloud hands, doing the single hands, which is a great way to start working with that movement because it does become kind of this complex movement when you're adding both arms in. So we're going to stop today with that, and what we're going to end with is some meditation. So I'd like you to grab your chair. Okay. So I want to show you in terms of doing a seated meditation. So I'm sitting sort of more in the middle or towards the edge of my chair. So basically, you have your feet flat on the ground, right? And I'm going to just turn it this way for a minute. So when I meant before that I'm a little bit forward, you can see I'm not back like this. So I'm keeping my spine straight, moving a little bit forward, okay? Then your hands can be they can be like this on your legs. They can be just down. They can be here. You just want to be what's comfortable for you. Think of relaxing your shoulders. So we just did some of this and the cloud hands, your shoulders might have gone up a little bit. So let's just bring your shoulders up and let them drop. Good. Spine is straight. Think 1 inch taller, chest is open. Your chin is going to be slightly tucked under, because what we want to avoid is having this kind of thing going. We also don't want to be down looking down. My gaze is a little bit down but forward. Tongue is at the roof of your mouth. We're just going to breathe naturally with this meditation. So you can either close your eyes, you can keep them open. You can do a couple of different things. One, you could just be focusing as we're sitting here quietly on the breath, feeling the inhalation through the nose and the exhalation. The other thing that students find helpful is you can also think of a special place, maybe from your childhood, a place where you feel really comfortable, secure, or it could be a beach, whatever makes you happy and feel good. And just put yourself there and just sit and breathe. Allow thoughts to come in and out. No need to attach to them. Don't get anxious if you have thoughts coming in. Just let them come in, they'll go, okay? And let's just sit for a few minutes. And as you're sitting here, just notice if there's any areas of tension in your body. Perhaps your back, maybe your shoulders. Just breathe into those areas and just relax. Have a slight smile. That slight smile relaxes your facial muscles. See if you can relax your shoulders a little bit more. And then slowly open your eyes. And we're going to end by, we're going to bring our arms out. In that seated position, we're just going to raise our arms up. Nice inhale here. Exhale. Bring your arms down. Let's do that again. And one more time. Good. Let's just bring our hands to our lower abdominal area, one hand on top of the other. And then let's just bring our hands to our heart. Feel a moment of gratitude. And then just release your hand. I'm just going to move forward. So that ends the class for today. Thank you for participating, and I hope to see you next time.